Hey, welcome back to Life on the Wrist. Hope you're doing well. So today we're going to be discussing if you should wear a watch during sport or when you're playing sport. I'm a huge sports fan. I played soccer, I run, I play tennis, a bunch of other sports. I like to be active, and I'm sure many of you also like to be active. And being that we have a hobby in watches, you're probably wondering, is it a smart idea to wear a watch while you're playing sports? So there's a lot of angles that you can take when you're kind of analyzing this topic. So we're going to kind of discuss the ones, or I'm going to discuss the ones that I could come up with. And obviously I would love to hear about the ones that you can come up with in the comments, so let me know. But before we get into that, if you are new around here, we create videos about watches. So hit that subscribe button, and if you're old here and you're returning and watching our videos, don't forget to hit that bell icon so you're notified when we do upload videos, so you're ready to go and watching our videos. So like I said, there are a lot of angles that you can take when trying to analyze if you should wear a watch while playing sport. The first one is you should consider the sport that you're actually playing. And by this I mean, when you're considering the sport, there are some watches that are actually made for a specific sport. Just as an example, I consider diving a sport. Perhaps you consider it a hobby or an activity, but it is a sport in its true sense. So there are a lot of watches that have been created for diving, most notably the Rolex Submariner and the Omega Seamaster. So, or at least the modern versions of those. So if you are diving, yeah, you should definitely you should definitely feel comfortable with wearing a dive watch because it was made for that specific sport. Another example is when Richard Mille created the Rafael Nadal watch, and you can actually see Nadal wears that Richard Mille when he plays tennis. So there are a lot of watches that are created for specific sports and can be played. Now, is that Richard Mille actually assisting him in his tennis game? Probably not, but it was made for that purpose. So you could probably stretch it to be worn for that. Just like a diving watch, that may actually help you with the sport of diving, even though there are mechanical, or there are digital versions of those watches that can be used to tell you similar things. So perhaps you don't really need it, but it is made for it, so you can in a sense wear it. There's also the connected watch from Tag Heuer. They made a golfing version where it has the maps of each of the courses for they have the maps of specific courses in each hole on that course loaded into this Apple Watch, so you can actually track it. So that's another type of watch that was created for that sport. Now, I know a lot of people in the comments are probably going to end up saying the connected watch isn't a watch. I'm just throwing it out there because some people do consider it a watch. So that's one way. You should consider the sport, and perhaps a watch was made for that specific sport. The second kind of angle you could take is you should consider your preferences with how you like your watches to look. Now, I know that sounds kind of strange, but it's basically saying, are you okay with having a scratch here or a speck of dirt here, or are you okay with sweating in that specific watch? I think that comes down to your preferences. A lot of people like their watches to be extremely pristine, like to have 0 scratches on it, basically have it as a safe queen, or they wear it on special occasions and take very, very good care of every single angle on that watch. Now, I'm of the opinion that a watch should resemble the life that it's lived. So I'm okay with having a little scratch here and a little scratch there. Nothing huge, obviously. You don't want to have like that watch that the guy fell when he was on a motorcycle. It was a Submariner, and he fell and the whole bezel got scratched up. That's really, it's cool looking, but it's probably not, I wouldn't want all my watches to look like that. So I'm okay with a scratch here, a scratch there. That's totally fine for me. You should also, within that preferences, you should probably consider, is it a modern or vintage watch? If it's a vintage watch, you probably don't want to put too many scratches on that, just for the sake that it is a vintage watch, and you could probably damage it a lot easier. Case metals, you should also consider case metals. Gold, obviously, dents a lot easier. Stainless steel, you can kind of, not really see the scratches as much. So consider your preferences when it comes to the way in which you want your watches to look. The third angle is you should consider the type of watch. This is a very, very obvious one, but I wouldn't recommend wearing a dress watch to play tennis. Those are, as the name kind of alludes to, it is a dress watch, so you probably don't want to be running around and kicking a soccer ball or throwing a rugby ball or baseball or playing basketball with a dress watch. You want to, if you want to do something like that, you want to pick something that's a little bit more durable, like a dive watch, which really can weather a lot more, physical activity. You should also consider within type of watch, you should also consider the price range where that watch falls in. So I know that some people are comfortable in $4,000 or $6,000 dive watches doing physical activity in them. Some people aren't comfortable with that because it is $6,000, so they may choose to do that type of stuff in like a $200 Seiko. I had a friend who went swimming with a Seiko SKX because you can do that, and that's what the watch was. It's a durable watch, and that's what it's for. So the type of watch and the type of environment that it should be in, along with the price range of it, should be considered. And price range is really your personal preference. Some people have the ability to run around in a $6,000 watch, and that's considered a beater for them. But perhaps some people aren't comfortable with that, and that should always be considered when trying to figure out if you want to play sport in it. And then obviously the fourth is kind of just like a logic test. You basically want to just understand the logic behind what the sport you're playing. Like, think about the sport that you're actually playing. Should you be wearing a watch during this? So, swimming, I can see you want to wear a watch. You can check the time if you're swimming. Golf, you can use the connected watch to check the keep track of your golf game. But let's say you're playing rugby, you probably don't want to wear a watch because you're going to be, you're going to have a lot of people tackling you, you're going to be on the ground a lot, it's going to get dirty very, very quickly. Also, if someone gets their finger caught inside of the bracelet, that doesn't really, bode well for the watch itself. So you really want to just do a logic check, like, hey, should I really wear a watch here? I think it's okay to wear a watch if it's kind of like a solo sport. But if you are on a team and you're playing against another team, it kind of doesn't really work out. Just as an example, let's say you want to play tennis and you really want to wear your watch. I can see how that would work, as long as you're okay with perhaps hitting it with your racket a few times. That may end up happening. But there's no person who can have an impact on that watch. No teammates, no opponents who can have an impact on that watch besides you and the actions that you take. So it may work a little bit better for that. But in soccer, let's say you're playing soccer and you want to wear a watch. One, I don't think if you're playing in a competitive game, you're not actually allowed to wear them. But if it's just a casual game, there are other people that can have an influence on your watch and kind of enter your bubble. So you have to be very, very careful if that is the case. So if you want to take it as a general, if you are wanting to wear a watch, my general guideline would be, if you are playing a solo sport where you are the only person who's doing it, feel free to wear a watch. If you're playing in a team sport, perhaps not. And that also varies with the level of intensity within that game. If it's a low intensity game, you're probably okay with whatever you want to do. But if it's a high intensity game, for sure, like reconsider wearing a watch, because it's never fun when you have to explain a broken watch to a watchmaker, or if you don't like scratches on your watch, have to look at that scratch for the rest of the time, and you'll notice it more just because it was your decision that you made to wear that watch during that sporting activity. So just my opinion kind of falls into what my general guideline was. My opinion is, if the watch is made for that specific sport, I think it's a good thing to wear it. I am of the opinion, like I said, where a scratch here and there is okay, but I don't like massive dents or massive marks, and that makes me apprehensive on wearing a watch, which is why I would prefer not to wear it in team sports. But in solo sports, I think it's fine, as long as it is durable enough to withstand regular shock, regular bumps here and there, and obviously is waterproof in case you're sweating or anything like that. Shock resistance is hugely important when considering if you want to wear that watch, and that goes into wearing a dress watch versus a dive watch to do this type of activity. So generally speaking, it's okay if it's a solo sport. If it's not, I would not recommend it. If you have an opinion on whether or not you should wear a watch while playing sport, definitely let me know in the comments. Would love to hear it. I think this is interesting. I basically just decided to take two of my loves and put them together. I really love sport, I really love watches, put them together, made a video. Hope this was helpful in some way, just to get your brain kind of moving. It wasn't very, very specific. I kind of just went through a couple of angles that you should really consider, so I hope those were helpful. And as I said in the beginning, if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you wouldn't mind leaving a like on this video, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching the entire video too. It obviously helps with the algorithm if you do slap that like, so don't forget to hit that like button. And with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.